Aha. Sweet. Okay. Right, so what I've got over here is the boards I've pressed up so far. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 boards, plus 3 more I've made already and finished. Yeah, so this one right here is actually not going to be a board, it's going to be used as the template. So I'm going to cut this out and drill holes in it for the trucks. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use this to stick it on the other boards and draw the outline for to make my template, and also it's going to be my truck hole template. So I've got this template here, and it works really great, especially for flat boards. But it's hard to use on these. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to be embedding some metal or something for the truck mount holes into the template, so that as I use it as a template, it doesn't wear out and cause the hole to wander. So, yeah, so that's all the boards I've made over the year, since winter, since I got this press built. Not that many, but that's kind of because I've just been not that into it. I've been busy with other stuff, and I haven't been like all gung-ho about it. Just so I've kind of been really passive about it. But nevertheless, that represents all the wood except for one more board that I get to make today. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So let me clear this off. Move my lantern. It has been out of commission for a year. We went to a Goblin Valley camp out last year, and a frisbee took out the glass, and I'm just getting around to fixing it. Here's the crate for it. You might remember Riley's camping crate. We did a video on that. Anyway, cleaning off this here. I gotta find a place to put the camera as well. So how about right here on the table saw? Good. The hammer I use for smacking the plies all level. Water I sometimes use. And we got new lights in here too since the last video. It's way brighter. Okay, sweet. So we got that cleared off. Let's take a look what we got here. Here's all my Formica top and bottom sheets. So I've got quite a few color choices left. So for my last board, I'll kind of want to do something nice. There's only one more of these. Just this. And this is the top or the bottom. Because the thing about the top is a lot of it's going to be covered by grip tape. So it might even be completely covered by grip tape. But you don't want a black top, because then even if there is no grip tape visible, or even if there is grip tape not covering everything, so you can see the Formica, you still won't see it because it's black. And the black is actually pretty nice Formica, so you don't want to waste it on the top. So I could do this green top, black bottom. I just did one that I made for myself. Let me grab it. So I've basically made 3 boards for myself total. I've made my redfish, bluefish, which was just a flat board, my very first board, and it had color changing grip tape, and that was really cool. That got stolen, So I made for myself what I called the brown fish, or the Hershey's bar. It was my brown board. That was the early version of this, and that was the last one. So it's time for another one. I don't make stuff for myself. I make stuff for other people. So this has got the nice green, and this is gonna look really great with, because I'm just gonna use squares of grip tape for the foot platforms and the nose and tail. So I'll have all this visible green, and the bottom is this textured black, which is really awesome. So I made a board for myself. So I don't want to make it too much like the one I made for myself, because the one for me is special, and no one's allowed to have that. How about, I like this. This is kind of a mellow tone green, and this is kind of a mellow tone black, right? So green and black, top, bottom. I think that'll work out. Let's do that. And then here's the last of the wood. So there we go, all ready to get going on that. Glue out. I've used not almost all the glue, but a large portion of it. It's probably about 4/5 of the glue. So I've probably got 3 boards left of glue. I've changed from using these spreaders that I was using before to using this roller. And where did my roller go? There we go. So I'm using glue rollers now. And I just stick them in the bag. Like that. So there we go. I think I'm ready to go. So let's make sure the pliers are in order. So this is the, I'm going to do top to bottom. Alright. So, top to bottom. Okay. Let me grab a new battery for the camera, and then we'll start. Back. Brand new battery. New camera. Should be good. So, go. Don't do that. So usually just start off getting a little bit on the Formica side. I don't use a lot of glue. I put most of the glue on the wood side. So yeah, for the wood on wood, I just do glue on one side. But since the Formica is the most likely to not be glued down right, and it's also the hardest to fix. If it's not, then I always make sure I get extra glue for both sides. That way I know there's plenty of glue to go around for that. So there we go. The roller works out really well. The only problem is making sure that the roller doesn't dry out between pressings, because it's expensive to buy a new roller every single board you make. And if I'm not making a board, very frequently, then the roller is probably just going to dry out no matter what I try to do to stop it, unless I wash it, which is not worth the time. So there's the pros and cons. When I just have the spreaders, which I can grab one. With the spreaders, I mean, I can just spread it out and then throw it away because they're nothing. They're just scraps of plastic. But, yeah. And also, I can get thicker coats of glue with the roller as well, which is nice. Okay, so there. That one's all warped because I'd use that for a filler piece for one of the boards. So it got pressed and deformed, and then as it kind of just naturally went back to a flat shape, it doesn't quite do it perfectly. So it ends up being a little warped. There we go. Lots of glue. It's worth wasting a little glue rather than wasting time trying to fix a bad glue job. And wood glue can actually fill some pretty, not big gaps, but it can fill gaps pretty well to make up for any imperfections in the pressing. So it's nice to have extra. It's hard to do too much. There's probably not enough on those spots there. The thing is, it sits, and this has just been sitting out for just a couple seconds here, but it's like soaked into the wood and has lost a lot of its moisture. And I haven't even done anything. It's just been a couple seconds. There you go. 2 more layers. So I'm getting kind of low to the table, so I'm being more careful. I don't want to get glue on the table, because then when I'm moving the board around and wrapping it up in the shrink wrap, I'll get glue on the outside of the board. And that is just, it's not something you want to deal with. Getting glue on the outside of the board is a pain to clean off, especially when it's a finished surface with Formica. You know, if it's just wood, you can just sand it down and you don't have to worry about it. With the Formica, it's a little more tricky than that. Okay. So now, here's what I do. Is I put glue on this side. Just a bit. Make sure I take this tape off here. Although the corner's cut off anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I put the Formica up onto the stack of wood, like that. Because the Formica is so thin, there's no way I can avoid getting glue on the table unless I raise it up. So I put the glue up higher, or put the stack up higher. Then I Stick it down there, and I do this side. Another more. That's a glob of glue right there. That, and then, whoops, I got the stack turned around again. So this is the top now. And all sorts of stuff off the table today. Perfect. Then I can grab the Formica sheet from before and stick that down like that. And see, I've got glue over my hands, so I've got glue on the board. This is the other big reason I have the water bottle. I should get a real one instead of a Windex bottle, so they get old and stop squirting. Perfect. There we go. So there's the layup all assembled. So this is where I use the hammer sometimes, is to knock this all flat. Flatten that out. Sure, clean up the glue before I put the board down on it. And I can start with the saran wrap, or the shrink wrap, or whatever you want to call it. So this helps keep the board together. It helps keep the glue in, so that when your extra glue doesn't drip everywhere, making a mess nearly as much. Perfect. So I usually have to go kind of spiral. And I use the shrink wrap to keep so I'm going to do a wrap around the perimeter, and by doing this spiral I can make sure there's no gaps along the outside that it'll get stuck between, they'll get it stuck between the plies. So I don't want to glue I don't want to glue the plastic in between the layers of the board. So that, when I go around like this, sometimes you can have problems, right? Because you can see there's a gap in there right now, and when it starts to bend, that gap will open up and then close again when the press goes down. This is getting too small. Doing that comfortably. Okay. So yeah, so by spiraling it, it's holding that closed and also making it so there's only short stretches, so it can't get in. nearly as easily. And there we go. Perfect. So there's a little glue under there. So let's get it wet. Right? And it'll stay wet for the whole time. And it won't dry out, so I can clean it up after I take the board out. Alright. So now, slide the board in, so green is top, black is bottom. Double check everything's aligned lengthwise, alright. And go ahead and slide it in. And it just goes up against this ledge I have in the back here. Bottom's right up to it. And that's my stop. I can tighten these. Those are good. And then before I forget, let's take the roller, put that away, because I'll forget that and leave it out and it'll dry and I'll waste money. Perfect. Okay, here we go. So I go up until it touches, and then I check my front to back alignment. So I spray painted a line on here. This is new, and that's a visual aid for my front to back. And I found that it's actually pretty sensitive front to back. So you really want to line it up as close to perfect as you can. Let's change camera angle again here. Okay, here we go. So that was the water I sprayed underneath the glue that was on the outside. That was it squeezing out. That noise. Okay. And I can check to make sure there's no gaps anywhere. It looks like a really good pressing. And there we go. So you can see the glue's coming out. You want, or I generally want glue to be coming out because that means I use enough. And it's coming out basically around the whole length, which is good. And of course it's not dripping anywhere because it's caught by the plastic. And there you go. That does mean also that it does take longer to dry because I've got Formica top and bottom, right? And that doesn't let air out. And I've also got these wooden pieces I have on the glue to the press. Those are covered with tape, so they're water sealed even more. So normally water can come out through the Formica like really slowly, but with the tape it just completely stops it. So basically the only way for water to get out is from these edges on this press. So when I cover it up, it takes longer to dry and cure. So normally what I'll do is I'll keep it in the press overnight, or for 1 or 2 days, I'll take it out, take the tape off, clean off all the wet glue, then stick it back in the press for another like 10 hours or so, and that'll let the water evaporate from between the wood, and the wood will dry inside the board, and then that way it doesn't have as much spring back, right? The other thing, wood glue takes like a full month to reach full hardness. It reaches basically almost its peak hardness after like a week, but like it takes a while for it to really get it. So what I've actually been doing is, after I take it out of the press and I'm ready to move it on to the next board, I stick the board I took out and I'll stick it in the middle of my stack here, so the weight of these other boards won't let it relax, and so I'm able to get really good pressings with really good shape. So if I take a look at this last one, this one's just got such a nice, this took the shape so well. It's great. Oh yeah. So there'll be actually quite a bit of variance between the different boards, just based on spring back and how you treated them after you took them out of the press. So that's why I adopted this sticking it in the pile strategy, and that's been working out really good. So there we go, and that's it. That's the last of my wood. Well, I guess I have this piece of Luan, but yeah, I don't use Luan anymore except for filler. But yeah, that's the last of my wood. So until I get more wood, which I have no idea when that might be, that's the last board. So I'm gonna be, and that suit works out because it's starting to get cold. Pressing boards in the cold takes a lot longer for it to dry. So that works out, having these boards to finish cutting for over the winter, because that's something you can more easily do when it's cold, just cutting them out. I do have these shorter pieces of wood as well. You can see they're too short for these boards, but I do have these to mess around with. I think what I'll do with these is, I've got a snowscape project to work on. So I've got a ski mold I made 2 years ago up here in the rafters. Let's take a look at this. It's a butterfly nets. Okay. Alright. Alright, sweet. So this is just a really simple ski mold. Okay. So just a really simple ski mold. It's got the curve for the nose. It's got, I believe, some camber to it. I can't remember what I did to it, but I did a bunch of research before doing this. And the idea was, I'll be able to press all sorts of different sizes of ski for experiments using this one template. Oh yeah, see, obviously 25 inch or feet, 25 inch effective edge. So that must be the radius I was going for right there. Anyway, something like that. I'll have to. I've got notes I can look to start this project again. So, so that's the only one I've got. Would be which we'll probably use for something like this. So there we go. Till then, that's the progress on the brain cleaner project. So there we go. Longboard technology over and out.